So for the second week in a row, I have taken Satellarknights and have been met with considerable success. I did not go anywhere near as well as I did in Swiss, but I did push my way up to top 4 this week. My Swiss record was 3-1-1, and so I was just managed to get a top 8 spot. So yay. So we'll just go through the matchup. So I'm going to make this brief because I'm a bit tired. Round 1, I played against Shaddolls. And the way this worked out was basically just like construct plays for days throughout the course of the match. Game 2 was the big difference because I managed to shadow mirror his shenanigans and sort that out. Game 3, I actually screwed myself over with Macro. I'm sorry, but Macro's not a good card in Satellarknights. Had to find out the hard way, of course, didn't I? So I kind of got screwed over there, lost that 1-2-1. So I was on the bubble for the entirety of the tournament. Round 2, I got something a bit more casual. I'm going to refer to it as Countdown Jumble in the description, which I would actually not have known he had Final Countdown had he not played at Game 1. But the rest of it was pretty much just Jumble. There was no way in hell he was going to be able to stop me from doing stuff, especially when I had the answers to everything he had, so that was 2-0. Round 3, I do not remember what I went up against round 3. All I know is I 2-0'd it. That is literally the only thing that I can say about round 3. It must have been just that unmemorable. Because I just can't think of it. I honestly cannot think of it. It just the way it is. If I do remember what it is by the time I upload it, then obviously it'll be in the description so you know what deck I played on that round. But round 4, I played against Lightsworns. I 2-0'd that by basically going first game. Because I saw that because I saw his extra deck. I noticed that he had Lightsworns, and so I'm just like, okay. I won game 1 with by just shutting down his potential JD plays. Like, he had dropped a JD, but I booked and ran it over with Raigeki, and then followed up then with Gandiva plus 80. So I had a 33 beat stick that said no to anything Luminous summoned. So I ended up taking that, and then game 2 I opened up both Macro and D-Fissure. I decided I wanted to try to at least navigate my way around Macro. But I just wanted it there for that matchup, and I actually did eventually, and I did work that one out. I managed to get a Traverse bounce it, and so I was able to keep a graveyard presence while keeping my opponent out of theirs with the Macro. And if they had anything to get rid of the Macro, which I believe they did actually Lila, but I followed up the next turn with D-Fissure. I had opened up with both of them, so that wasn't really that overly difficult. So that was 2-0. And then round 5, I played the mirror match. Pretty intense game 1. I got an early push and then made an additional push to seal the game off by using Exciton, and ended up meeting a Black Horn with that, and then he ended up getting a swarm and running me over there, which was kind of saddening. And then game 2 went long enough. Actually, yeah, we went through almost the entirety of game 1 in the round length in game 1, so we didn't have a whole lot of time for game 2. Basically, it was sort of like the reverse, except not quite. Like, he got his stuff off, but I managed to just push through. I managed to push through just enough, and then eventually, just the momentum and pressure just built up, and I managed to get him. I managed to knock him out in time there. So that ended in a draw. And so I ended up getting top 8. And so for my top 8 match, I got Qliphorts. And the way this worked out was, game 1, he had a hand that would have, obviously his hand was not incredibly terrible. He was able to do his stuff, but I just made him pay far too much, and then next thing I know, I just sort of beat sticked him. I basically just ran him out of monsters, and until I drew for my turn in which I won, I actually thought that I was going to lose, and the next thing I know, I just look at the score, look at the board, and realize, oh hey, attack with uncle, I win. So I won that game 1. Game 2, disc. It is what it is. It's disc, and the answers. He had taps everywhere, so that was a thing. And then game 3, I once again just I like had he was staring me down with a carrier and the skill drain, and so I went soul charge. No, that was game 2, and I lost that one. I basically had the board. I had a whole bunch of Satellas just built up on the board, slowly building them up, and then managed to get a Dark Rebellion Exceeds Dragon and basically just run over it and just keep pushing the damage, and I somehow found myself the winner of that one. And so then for my top 4 match, I played Zing. Game 1 was a win due to bricking. He did not see any of his monsters. I think the only monster he actually saw was his Chaiwin, but at that top by the time... But he didn't get any of that off yet. No, he had Chaiwin and I think Bixie, and I got over those with a 101 that I prepared earlier to get rid of Armades. I also had an Emerald because the game had gone just long enough for me to use my Altairs, so I recycled those, and then I followed up that next turn by when I actually attacked with Abyss Dweller play, so I was able to shut him out of his Yang Zing effects. So I did that. Then game 2, he went first turn. He didn't go first turn, but he got Yazi relatively quickly, and then basically just kept his presence. No, that was game 3. He kept his presence game 3, and I managed to lose there, as well as a fuck up on my part. But he won game 2 because he opened triple Yang Zing creation, and so he flipped them all up. I bottomlessed and completely screwed up because I thought that the wording required the monster to be sent to the graveyard, and it did not. So he got 3 Yang Zings, was able to sync up a Yazi, which I did mole, but that thing had already done enough damage as well. So I'd lost that one. And then game 3, instead, I knew there was hardly any time left, and I screwed up. I did not side my Hobans out, which sucked, because I ended up seeing one in the opening hand and using that to drop into a second one. So he had a 2,000 life point buffer, which actually turned out to be the difference. So I was really, really pissed off about that. I could have easily gone in and won the whole thing, but I ended up fucking up with that, which was saddening. But that is what it is. I ended up finishing 4th overall, so it's still a pretty good... It's actually, in a way, much better than the previous attempt. I'd say they're basically on a par with each other. Like last week was obviously noteworthy for its own reasons. This week, obviously, I put in pretty solid efforts with the list that I actually wanted to play. And so, speaking of that, that's the next video I'm going to be doing. I'll do that tomorrow. Not like it's actually going to be relevant, because likely it is this is probably going to end up freaking going up late as well, because I'm a moron and whatnot. So yeah, like I said, if I remember what that round 3 matchup was by the time I upload it, then yay. So, but until then, that's it.